Welcome to Faith Over Breakfast. You are listening to a podcast by Pastor Eric Deepen and Pastor Andy Littleton. If you enjoy Faith Over Breakfast, we encourage you to rate it on the Apple Podcast app, on Spotify, or Google Play. Thank you and enjoy the podcast.
Welcome to Faith Over Breakfast. Today, Eric is entering into our conversation with some thoughts on his mind. He's been writing a Substack. He's thinking about gender and roles.
Do you have a Substack?
I have a Substack account with nothing on it.
Oh, okay. So there's no writing that I should be following.
I have a Patreon for the Memoir Project.
The Memoir Project.
Patreon.com/Andy Littleton. Follow today. I will be posting a lot more to it soon.
My Substack is Healing the City, so you can find it.
Look at that. Look at those plugs.
Yeah. We plugged books today.
So many plugs.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Lots of if you don't care about the content, there's at least I think 4 or 5 books you could be like, I think I should read that.
Yeah. So a lot about structures and roles and how gender gets understood and all that. And yeah, I think it's a good topic. So enjoy.
Cool. Thanks, Andy.
I'll get back to us on the mic more. Fitch.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, and then what's in back on?
You and your wife have issues. Sorry, Sue. I'm throwing you in.
Yeah, well, it's true.
Yeah.
I mean,
unlike me and my wife, we are normal. No.
Free of issues.
Free of issues. Yes, absolutely. This is all.
We have probably more than you because we have 30 years of issues.
That's good. Yeah. Well, we'll catch up. One of these days.
One of these days.
As long as you guys don't go live until you're 105, then we might not. But
I've committed to 85 years.
Committed to 85 years. Okay. Well, I have a feeling this ties to your desired topic. So you're going on your 30th anniversary, and you're going to go to one day, just one day. You
1.5 days, Sunday night, Mall of Monday.
A conference about gender and sexuality. And I was saying that is not what I'll be doing on my 30th anniversary. I think my wife and I would both go, no. That's what I do for work, go to conferences.
Yeah, see, so like I don't,
we will be sitting in a room.
My job is
eating.
I don't think of my job as a job, so.
That's such a Eric, what a gift. What a wonderful gift.
It's a calling.
Yeah. What a cool Wow.
Wow.
All right. Let's close this podcast down. Eric is holier than thou. Yeah.
So
it's a calling. I mean, it is. But when you say it that way.
Just
wow.
End the podcast.
This is earlier than usual, and I feel like we're in a cheerier mood than what is happening?
Well, usually you and I come from meetings.
Oh, we've had no meetings.
Tend to be heavier. My Friday morning meeting is a little heavy sometimes.
Okay. Well, there you go. We're just fresh.
Yeah.
This is perky fresh.
Perky fresh.
With coffee.
Okay. Satiated.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. And the only reason you asked what we want to talk about, and I said, hey, can we talk about women? The only reason is that I wrote an article for my Substack, which is a series of articles on what I think the role of men and women are.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. This is, I think last time, because you made a comment about the letters after my name and how I was an expert. And I said that was the seep and burn.
This is seep and burn, yes.
So this is the seep and what?
I don't know.
This is when Eric, if you really press Eric, what do you want to talk about today? The truth is often gender and sexuality.
Yeah, I was looking through. So I'm going to be gone for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
So I went through and did a little March replay, best of Faith Over Breakfast, got them all lined up. not a lot of conversations about women in 9 years, which is pretty funny.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's me, 2 guys. Yeah.
Like, yeah. You know, my wife always comments. She's like, well, when you guys do talk about it, why is there no women talking about it?
It's a valid question. I actually, I think I would say, you know, I would probably feel more comfortable talking about women with women than just another dude.
Another dude.
But here we are, 2 dudes.
2 dudes who are pastors of church. Yeah, I actually didn't want to like spend a long time on it, so maybe we could just go over lots of different things today. Sort of you know, because you know, Iran is could be at any moment bombed.
Right. There's a lot of things.
The economy is fluxing up and down.
Yeah.
We have our own churches and their stuff.
Yeah.
I read a really good book, which I'd like to recommend. So let me
do it.
Find my phone here.
You don't need your phone.
I'm obedient.
You know what it is. Yeah.
I need the exact title. And
okay.
I don't remember the author's name. So here, the book, I'll just give a little gist of the book because it's really a cool book. It is written by a staffer from Obama's administration. He was one of the legal counsel. And he wrote this book called Too Precious to Lose, and his name is Jason Green. And the gist of the book is centered around some things he discovered about his family, but the significant one is that his grandmother was part of this African-American church that was on the day that Martin Luther King was assassinated.
Yeah.
They were in a conversation, in a congregational meeting. Finances were tight.
Huh.
This church that had been built by, you know, we're talking about people out of slavery.
Yeah.
And they were talking about merging with a Northern Methodist church and a Southern Methodist church, both white.
Wow.
So and they're kind of going through the angst of that. And then Martin Luther King is assassinated on that day.
Oh, man.
And this kind of catalyzes them to plant or to merge these churches. And
so that was they did it in light of that.
Yeah. And he didn't know the story, even though he grew up in this church.
Wow.
And so it's him kind of discovering the stories of his family, the connection to slavery, this church itself,
cool,
his grandmother. It's just a really beautiful story and thought-provoking and challenging. So anyway, I would really recommend that you read it. It was really good.
Yeah.
So anyway,
right.
So we can bounce all over the place.
Well, you know, we'll see how that goes.
Yeah,
I have a feeling that we'll bounce a little bit, but don't put the phone on the table, Eric.
Come on.
All right.
You and your phone on the table thing.
Yeah, you can hear it. You can hear it. People, these are the real issues that podcasts. This is behind the curtain. This is what they don't let you hear. This is the truth.
The very last podcast that I did on JCM podcast with David Gainey, there was an ice cream truck for the first time ever in this neighborhood. It just sat outside of the front of our
nice.
So
it's just
you could hear it
music.
Playing, and it was
production value.
Yeah.
Okay, so
right,
Eric,
so
what led you to the specific thought process you're having, and what is it?
Okay, so to go back, I don't know if so Preston Sprinkle, Dr. Preston Sprinkle.
Yes, you are a sprinkleite.
Yes, I am a sprinkleite. Came out with a book that's going to be released on the 3rd. We might be able to get him to be on our podcast. We should try that.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Anyway, I heard an interview with him, kind of a summary of the book, and it's kind of made me think, you know what? I have a unique thought, a unique way of thinking about this, and it's not being talked about.
Okay.
So I need to write about it and start figuring it out and kind of seeing what people think.
Okay.
So that's more what this is about.
So break it down.
So I'm going to try to break it down in the short
Take
version.
all the thoughtful words you've written and condense it to two succinct sentences. So we can all judge you based on those, not read your Substack and get all of the nuance, and just categorize you wherever we want to categorize you right now.
Yeah.
There we go.
So what isn't new for me, so I'm just going to lay this out. There's a conversation that goes on a lot when we're talking about men and women and the role they have in leadership. It usually goes, you start in Genesis and you're trying to build out difference and relationship and order and all those things work, right?
From Genesis to Junior.
We're trying to sort that out.
Yeah.
And so the shorthand version of it is, when you look at chapter 1, everyone agrees that male and female reflect God's image fully and equally, and that they both are given the commission for dominion and fruitfulness. Right?
But you know the real question.
Yeah.
Who was cooking and who was doing the public speaking?
That's right. That's a big question. So here's where my unique kind of idea comes in. So I don't want to sort out all of the other ideas. Within the ancient Near East, firstborn status is an important thing, right? The firstborn male holds the inheritance. They get the larger inheritance, but they're also responsible for the inheritance of everyone else, and they are responsible for the clan, right? They take it over when the patriarch dies, and they become the patriarch, and they get the inheritance. And so the firstborn position.
That's my understanding. Yeah.
Yeah. And we talk about in the New Testament, right? A lot of Jesus is the firstborn of God, right? The
new Adam as well.
The new Adam. Right? So we have that picture there.
Yeah.
So here's my argument that I think is a little different. So there's an argument that comes into chapter 2 as to, and if you're a complementarian, you argue and really...
Chapter 2 of what?
Genesis, excuse me. You end up seeing hierarchy, right? You end up see people see Adam was created first, Eve was second. Sure. You go back into 1 Timothy 2 and Paul's little defense of things. I put that aside for now. If you're just looking at chapter 2, you don't need Timothy right away to kind of think that through.
Yeah.
Here's my argument that is different. Because if you're an egalitarian, you would argue, oh, no, there isn't hierarchy in here at all. And you make these different arguments for it. I would say that no, there's a narrative hierarchy in that Adam is first and that he's placed in the garden. But instead of it being a hierarchy of Adam over Eve, it's a positional thing. So what happens is Adam is put into the garden, and Adam is given opportunity to create and protect the position with which he is then going to invite Eve into. And Eve will be invited into. So then there's no hierarchy in that position. They are side by side, and the difference is what's being accented within Genesis chapter 2. And you find Adam naming himself, naming Eve. He works on creating order in a disordered space with the animals. And the clue, I think, to saying that this is a position and that there isn't, and that Adam is responsible for the position and protecting the position of that he's invited, that Eve is in, is that the last verse of Genesis chapter 2 says that, and this is why a man will break from his own family, and fuse to his wife. Is that you read through the Old Testament and the New, and you look at history, that's not a truth. Like, that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
That's a garden established thing, that there's this position, and Adam's the one creating that position, but he is connected, and Eve is connected and alongside him, bonded in that. So it's a little complicated because you'd have to read my Substack to kind of get the whole idea. But my argument isn't that there isn't a hierarchy, there's a position. And the reason that I think this to be true is that when you go to the curse, Genesis chapter 3, and you look at what Adam and Eve, what happens to Eve, is he says to Eve, there's all the childbirthing issues in the curse. But he says, your desire will be for the husband, and he will rule over you. And there's been so much, scholars wrestle with that all the time. But what you do understand is that the word for rule is different than the dominion rule of chapter 1. And it comes back up with Cain when God says that he needs to be careful with sin, and he needs to rule over it. He has to take dominion, domination over it. Take charge. That's what's happening in the curse, right?
Yeah.
I would argue that this desire for Adam is not like a sexual desire, or it is a desire for the position with which the woman has been removed from. I think when you go all the way, and now I haven't talked about this in my Substack because I'm trying to build this a lot, but when you get into Romans and we're talking about the sin passing through Adam, it's a positional thing.
Right.
Adam is responsible for the position of firstborn.
Federal headship, they call it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Eve, though, here's where for me, Eve is in that firstborn position but she's removed from it in the curse. So and her desire is to regain that position, regain control, and he will rule over her. The reason I began to think about this is that when you go into the New Testament, you and I step into the firstborn position because we are in Christ.
Yeah.
And so Eve and Adam are brought back into that position, right? Adam's position is restored in a sense. Eve is invited back in. The curse is being reversed. And so the uniqueness to this is I do believe men and women can hold positions of, elder and pastor and all that. I mean, ecclesiologically, so the way the church is structured in its leadership, I think is in modern day is not biblical. I don't think it's the way it's supposed to be. I think to the point where if someone said, I just don't think a person can be a pastor or an elder of a church separate from their spouse. So I just don't think you're an elder or you're a pastor and I work at Raytheon and I'm not an elder and pastor in this church.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
What does it mean to live a life of faith? What does it mean to live as a Catholic Christian? Hi, this is Bishop Kevin Sweeney, host of the podcast Beyond the Beacon. Join me as we unravel and discuss the mysteries of our faith, of the church, of living as Catholic Christians. Be inspired by engaging interviews with priests and seminarians, deacons, religious, women and men who live the life of faith day by day here in our Diocese of Patterson, in food pantries and classrooms and parishes and ministry. How is God working in their lives today? How is God working in our lives? Join me as I ask them and be part of the conversation on Beyond the Beacon. Listen and follow Beyond the Beacon wherever you get your podcasts or watch it on my YouTube channel. Please check the show notes for more details. Thank you and God bless you.
Well, and I once heard, this is a story of people closer to me, so I'll be vague, but a woman was nominated to be an elder in I forget which type of church, but husband completely not participating in the faith, right? And it's interesting because when you read about, it's phrased in our Bibles like, about the elder, and it's phrased as male, but having their household, what's the word? It's not under control, but it seems to be that their household is managed well, and that especially so in the faith. So I said, have they asked about how the status of your husband's faith? And well, no, why? And I thought that's whichever tradition you're in, the spousal relationship is supposed to be really important, and it feels like it's not as important.
Yeah.
Can I throw I think a parallel line of thought? It's a little different, but just tell me how conversant this is with what you're thinking.
Yeah.
Okay. First, I'll say what I like about what you're doing here is that you are trying to explore, a theme, this being firstborn, that is not culturally, we just miss it. We don't dial into it. And I think I really appreciate you doing that, because I think a lot of our conversations about this stuff are very shaped by our context and our way of thinking, and we're reading text from the ancient Near East. And so I think that's really good. One of the surprise books I read a few years ago on that, it surprised me how much application I've found to ministry in it. First of all, because it's not what the book was for, nor and also the book was just a very dense and meandering book. I've probably mentioned on here before, but The Dawn of Everything by David Graeber and David Wingrove, two Davids. One of them has died. They're British. They're very snarky. The book is very, very long. I heard about it on the radio. and was like interested.
Sure.
And I think, just to full disclaimer, I think they're anarchist as well. Okay, so just so that we are not.
So this is not a how-to-do ministry book.
No, not even close. And you could probably freak out about something. But what they are anarchists, but they were very accomplished anthropologists.
Right.
And the question that they went after in the book, and the reason I read it, was they said, in our day, there's a basic assumption in academia that says things are progressing. Progress is a key truth about society. Now, they said people are skeptical of that, but it's taught as if it's a fact. Mm-hmm. We're progressing from simple creature to complex creature, if you think, in the evolutionary tale, right? Mm-hmm. And they said along that trajectory, the assumption is that we were progressing from simple governmental structures such as patriarchy,
right,
to more complex governmental structures such as democracy, right? And so they went about studying the anthropology to see, is that so? Is that what the evidence teaches us?
Right.
And they, as very secular folks, come back with a hard no. Anthropologically, that is not what we see. When you look at ancient societies, the evidence we have about them, they were not what we would, call these just top-down patriarchies.
Yes.
That then move into becoming egalitarian societies. Right. They said that narrative of development and progress, in their opinion, completely false, which is interesting.
Yeah, I think Dr. Richter does a lot about this.
Yeah.
Now, I don't forget her name, but I mean her first name. But
yeah.
Anyway.
So one of the things they did discover, which I think is really has made me think a lot about this role of men and women and stuff, was that most societies, ancient societies, were actually very flexible structurally. So what they said is, so you think about, okay, take your standard hunter-gatherer society.
Right.
The men are going to go off to gather the food for the tribe.
Right.
They might be gone for months, weeks.
Right.
So when they go, that hunting group becomes, in a way, very egalitarian. It's like you're all doing the same thing. And the group back home actually structures around all the women and the children and maybe some elders, and they would structure accordingly. Then when the men came back from the hunt, it seems that they would restructure around that reality of everyone being there.
Right.
And then they would potentially restructure in the wintertime when you were less active. And they said it was more like they looked at the situation and asked, what works best for the situation?
Right.
They didn't have a standard. And this is probably why they're anarchists, is they're not saying no order, but they're saying no imposed specific order, which I have a ton of questions about how that would actually work.
Right. Or if it was fully like that, but yeah.
Sure. The other interesting things was that, they found that a lot of early, if you were disabled or dismembered, often you were considered a pathway to the gods, and you were promoted in society, which is really interesting. So there are just all of these things that we assume. The survival of the fittest. They went, well, actually, if you had a clubfoot,
right,
you might have been a priest.
Right.
There are just a lot of assumptions.
Interesting.
They said the anthropological record leads us to be kind of skeptical of that. So, I've thought about that a lot. Like, I don't want to discount God's word and just look at anthropology, but I think we layer some of that progress narrative onto the Bible because we are still, though we are postmodernism, we still have that progress narrative that our society developed within us. And I think we assume a lot of templates, like democratic style templates or even hierarchical or patriarchal templates onto the Bible when perhaps those did not even exist as we know them.
Sure.
And so, well, okay, what do you think about that?
Well, and I think like it's really hard because I would argue that in like sort of that, I would say in a pre-Noah way, yes. I think like we look at, I mean, women were not necessarily dealt with well, so they still hold a second tier position through history, but it's not as patriarchal. And
there were a few societies,
sure,
that even in the Bible pop up where, I mean, who's this Queen of Sheba that seems to be an Ethiopian queen, near neighbor, very powerful, and comes to town and is quite respected. Yeah. So I'm just saying there's...
Oh, no, I agree. And I think there's been some strong arguments to say that the Bible isn't necessarily a patriarchal. The Old Testament isn't necessarily patriarchal. Yeah. In comparison to its neighbors, it's not. Right. And you end up having...
Miriam the prophetess,
and you know, Deborah and Huda and Isaiah's wife, who's not mentioned but is a prophet. We know that. And,
sure.
You know, so there's a lot. There's women of prominence. I think that's true. I think it is very true.
I just say all that. I guess my big point is a book like that just made me realize how much layering of modern day structures I do on the Bible, and how much, and when I'm trying to answer the modern questions such as, can a woman be an elder? And I have that question. I'm trying to read my English Bible and I'm layering that exact. So I'm thinking structurally, I'm thinking in a very modern way. Like I'm thinking like board meetings. And so I can go different ways with that. One is I can go, oh man, I don't want to disobey the Bible, so if I put a woman on the board, I'm going to mess that up, you know. Or I can think, and this is where one of the things my head goes to is I go, well, I think about my home, and I think about how my mother had a master's degree, ran a business, was very communicative. My father had a learning disability and did not like to take charge. It overwhelmed him and confused him, so he preferred to do labor and tasks that he could see come to a completion. So when somebody says like brings up the competence thing with women, I just laugh because I go, oh my gosh, like I have a whole life story that says not so. And so when people bring up the pragmatic thing, which I'm always just like, what are you talking about? Oh, a woman can't handle herself on the board. Yes, she can. Yeah, like it's just look around and like live my childhood. Yeah. Like, let's go. But I'm just saying we are layering board structures onto Genesis, which didn't exist. Yeah. And anyway, that's a problem.
No, I agree. I like that. And it's most of the reason I had kind of settled myself in all of this and not really that interested in having this conversation anymore because it's just frustrating to me. Yeah. But I was excited about Sprinkle's book, and having a wife who has the title of pastor does get me into having to explain that. And
you were talking about recently, like being excluded from things because of it.
Yeah. So there's those kinds of things, and so it's just been on my head. But I guess my thesis is this, and I haven't worked out everything else. My thesis is that men are called to create the position in the world so that women can be safe in it. So what I mean is, it is not that my job, it's not a woman's job to create and fight for the position so she could be an elder or so she can be a pastor. Like I'm here my job is to create order, protect it, invite her into it, and let her flourish in it. And I do think that this is why Paul keeps going back to the family idea in church. That I don't think Paul was thinking, yeah, I want some full-time paid pastors who have, insurance and
they're going to be professional speakers. And only they speak.
Yeah. No, I think he was thinking.
Yeah.
And here's where I kind of come down of like, I don't think single men or single women can be elders and pastors. I think it's a family position. I actually think that you can be an apostle as a single man. You can go plant a church and you can appoint a family who is older than you. Like, you guys are the elders.
Yeah.
We've developed this church. I'm appointing you. I'm an apostle, and I'm moving on. I'm not, and I can come and exercise a particular kind of apostolic authority over you, meaning you're doing something mean to your wife, or you're doing something wrong at the church, or your wife is. We can say, no, that's not right. And I'm bringing apostolic authority and dealing with this, situation.
Okay.
I think single men and single women can play the role of Titus and Timothy and Paul and Jesus. Not being Jesus, being that particular kind of thing. Whereas elders are called to be the parents, the parental covering of the church. And so as a female elder in a husband and wife team, your job is not to be eldering all the men. You will, when you stand up to speak, they will respect you and they will listen to you and they'll be instructed by you. But you're going to pastor the women. I'm not going to go sit with the woman in a lot of different issues. I want another woman to sit in those issues.
How much that brings up something you're talking about, the elders pastoring. Traditions have a lot of views on, is an elder a pastor? What is that? Like, you seem to put the two together.
Well, so I actually think that that Paul's fivefold equipping gifts can fall on anyone.
Including, so pastor is the shepherding gift.
Yes, and so you could have a deacon who has the gift of shepherding. I would call them pastor, but they execute a different kind of authority as a pastor than an elder who is also a pastor.
Yeah. I have.
Stephen was a pastor, even though he was a deacon.
Yeah, I think the titles. This is another modern structural. Yeah. We like these hierarchical structures.
Yes.
Even people who say they don't tend to
like them
or want them, or the problem is that you're not giving me it. So then when it's not being given, then you question whether it should exist. But those apostle, prophet, evangelist, shepherd, teacher are listed as things that are gifted to the church by God.
Mm-hmm.
They're not. It's people hold them, but they're gifts to the church that the church needs to function well.
Mm-hmm.
And they are not described as positions.
Yeah.
Right? And so what that would mean is, even if somebody the word pastor and what we've done with it positionally,
I think it's wrong.
I think it's wrong. I think we messed that up.
I think so.
And I think that is so, like, it's the equivalent of the business CEO or founder. It is not what's being described in the Bible. I think a pastor, or the person that has the pastoral gift, walks with people as they seek to follow Jesus and uses a variety of strengths to do that. And I agree with you. I think a variety of people in our church hold that. And if you didn't have women who did that, you wouldn't have any discipleship of women to women.
Yeah.
It's so, but we're often arguing about who gets to be the pastor. And I get it, because that's the prominent role in the churches we've designed it.
Right. And I guess
you and I are doing that.
Yes.
Just to name that. Yeah.
And at the Villas, we're trying hard to hold sort of the modern balance and try to move ourselves into that ancient space.
I'll tell you what. So I'm thinking a lot about that too. And I think we're trying some things to do that. But one of the other things I've thought about is when you get too, there's a jarring effect that people, even outside the church, expect if they show up to church. And I've had to think about that. to some degree, trying to do a redemptive version of this that says if we throw the whole thing out, it just doesn't translate to people.
Right.
It's like if you started an organization with no board and no CEO, and you had to apply for a grant, and they said, "Well, who's on the board? We don't have a board."
Right.
Well, then you don't get the grant. So in a way, you feel like you have to do some of it because that's just how our society thinks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, so the reason I've been kind of processing this is it helps me make sense of what it means to be like a husband, like how I do that in marriage, like that I am creating a position alongside me. Like I'm protecting the position of human, of being, and my wife can come alongside that and flourish. I'm there to name it, protect it. She's there to execute it and just demonstrate it. But I think, the reason I come to some of these conclusions is, there is within the complementarian movement this idea of preeminence, right? Of like Adam holds that firstborn position. That's where I got that from. And that's where they get the hierarchical thing. He's first. They get from he was created first, Eve second. And that's when I began to think, well, that maybe that's not exactly what's happening here. Maybe this is a narrative line and not an establishment of hierarchy. Like maybe this is, and it makes sense for me of a couple things like the 1 Timothy 2 and I don't allow a woman to teach or have authority over a man. Well, there's a sense within that culture that the teaching of the cult of Diana, that's happening there, did teach that woman held the preeminent position, that she was in the creator position, like that she created the position.
Yeah.
And that's an absolute upside down narrative.
And you and I have talked about how critical it is to know the culture this letter was being written to, to understand the specific application.
Right.
Yeah.
So anyway, we don't have to talk about it anymore. I just think I'm beginning to work this through. It's going to take some time.
Yeah.
But I'll probably write a couple more articles about it.
Yesterday on my way home from Phoenix, I listened to 2 podcasts that I accidentally it was interesting. They talked about the same thing from very different angles, and I didn't even mean to do it. So the first one was interview of Richard Reeves, Why Young Men Are Struggling. So that's on the Russell Moore Show.
Okay.
The interesting thing there was he actually talked about how in the one of his views, and he tries to say, look, like publishers didn't want to touch this because it's you don't want to they don't want to talk about how to help men. But he said, I am not an agenda guy here. I'm just really trying to figure this out. So he one of the things he said was that what happened in the feminist movement was that the goals and the roles for men all got flattened. And now you see a lot of young men who have no aspirations, and women are not enjoying that at all. Right. So he was talking, one of the many applications he had was, I actually think we do need to return to some degree to naming some roles. And that was okay. The other one I listened to is I'm listening to, if I'm going to name one, I want to name the other. Because I am writing a memoir, here it is. Listening to a podcast about memoir, and the just ideologically complete opposite side of the spectrum.
Sure.
Right. But this Jordan Carlos wrote this book called Chore Play, and it was about marriage, and it was about the dynamics between men and women. And he said one of his inspirations, he's a comedian, but his father used to do performative chores. So he'd bake muffins, and he would be like, family, I, the man, have baked you muffins. Do you not see how wonderfully unique this is? And he would just make a big deal of wife, I have done the dishes.
Right.
And so he, and then his mom would say, oh, that's just chore play. So that's where he got the title.
Interesting.
But he, you could tell there was really this interesting dynamic. So one of the hosts is a lesbian. And so they're talking about a male-female dynamic, but then they couldn't always do it. And, because it's, how do you apply this in this lesbian relationship? And then the lesbian lady was talking about how, yeah, but really, like, we end up taking the role differences anyway. She's saying I've never had a relationship where somebody didn't fall into the different roles. And anyway, an interesting pair of podcasts to listen to next
really
to each other.
Interesting, yeah.
So maybe this is one of my suggestions is listen to radically different voices on the same topic, and it's illuminating.
It is illuminating.
Yeah.
I have one more issue if you want to just build more podcast structure.
More structure.
Or whatever, more stuff to talk about.
About 5 or 10 minutes.
Okay.
All right, let's go for it.
Okay. The other issue, this is completely different than the men and women thing. And maybe I'm going to get myself in hot water in this one, but it'll be good.
By the way, I'll say the chore playbook actually sounded pretty fun and helpful in the end.
Yeah.
I thought I could learn a thing or two from it. Anyway,
Well,
go ahead.
And I agree that we really do need to be having more conversations that are a healthy conversation about what does it mean? What are the roles of men and women?
Yeah.
In not maybe in light of the 80s and 90s evangelical kind of role.
This guy was truly trying to find some answers in a fun way through storytelling.
Yeah.
And I think he probably came up with some good stuff. Okay.
That's cool. So here's my thing, and I think you and I have maybe talked about this once before, but I've been kind of trying to process this. So we are small church pastors.
That's true.
Our church is like what I like to call small, large, or large, small, or
and
medium,
I
large,
like to call
medium,
you an
small.
elder.
And you like calling me an elder. So all those. I'm the elder of a medium, small church.
Yeah.
Or
mega house church, as you say.
House church.
For a house church, you're mega.
But what I've seen over 25 years is that because we planted really at the beginning of the internet, surge of information.
Yeah.
And really, I think millennials were the ones who caught up. They're the people who just kind of got, as young adults, sunk into this information surge. They're young. And so in general, and I don't think it's just millennials, what I've experienced is that there is so much information, and there's a lot of spiritual information. And I'm scripturally, from Hebrews and other spaces, instructed to be doubly responsible for the way I shepherd my community. And
especially as an elder.
Especially as an elder and leader. My question to you is, how do you work through this thing that I keep running into is that people actually don't ask you what you think about a particular issue.
Yeah.
And what direction they should take to kind of process it and develop it in their life. And yet you are responsible for their spiritual development if they are a member at your church.
Well, one of the, I'll just pitch in really quick. One of the things that you all have done over the years that I will always feel myself uncomfortable with it, but it's good, is you talk about people needing to submit to the elders on things.
Yeah.
Right. And you and Rod have talked about this over the years. And the uncomfortability for me is not that I don't see those words in the Bible or anything. I'm just I don't think anybody's thinking this way. And anyway, I've over the years, I've just gone, you'll be like, well, you need to talk to them and tell them that they need to do what the elders say. And I'm like, what? How's that going to work? So just yesterday, I sent an email to our clerk of classis. Classis is a body of churches in our region. And I asked him permission to leave early from a meeting next week. And his response to me was are you asking? Kind of, he even said, that's quaint. Nobody asks, they just go. And now it was a little playful. But at the same time...
But he was pointing out how countercultural that is. And
I was and I wrote back, and no, I actually was asking. If the answer was, you have a responsibility at this time, we need you there, I don't want to be I want to lean into being the type of person that would take that seriously, you know? And I thought, I'd looked at the agenda that my contributions would be over by the time I was asking to go. But, yeah, just how I think his surprise would also be my surprise if somebody said, what should I think about this? Now, I will say I have a few people in my world that come from certain traditions that do that to a degree that makes me uncomfortable.
Right.
Almost to where like, and when I especially see it crop up, when I say something that you should do, that someone disagrees with, I've had very little traction with that. Very few people who go like, oh, but because you said it as a pastor.
Yeah.
But when I teach something or lead in a certain way that someone feels like they try and then they don't like it, I get a lot of blowback from that.
Okay.
Meaning, so if it's in the negative, you said this, I had a bad experience of that.
Right.
Or you were going to be my leader and I have not enjoyed your leadership. Sure. You're a bad leader, you know, like that happens. But on the positive side, if I say, you know, like you should actually, I mean, these are things I've said, like, how about instead of always saying what you think, you listen? And somebody would be like, okay, Andy, whatever. No. So in the pot, when I feel, yeah, I guess what I'm saying, there's a lot of, in our day, if you're a bad leader, there's a lot of responsibility that gets placed on you.
But if you're a good one,
if you're trying to do something good that's hard, it feels like the chances of somebody submitting to the elders goes down to near zero. Now, I may be wrong. You've been challenging me on this for years.
Well, no, I mean, I'm trying to like, and maybe I'm just now even thinking this through in a more complex issues. It's just, I think the church that I grew up in, like, and I mean in general, like the church, not their particular church. I think pastors are very much, there wasn't as much information, right? So we could say, hey, there's parenting. There were these 3 books. Yeah.
And you needed your pastor's guidance for that, because where else were you going to get it? The New York Times book review?
Yeah. These 3 books are good. Go to Gospel Supplies, which we all lived in.
Yeah. And I worked there, and people came in and they asked me as an 18-year-old, what book should I get on marriage? Right. And I would tell them, and they would probably buy it.
What's the popular one?
And now they come in, they have already found the book. They have their tribe, they have their style. And if they come into the store, that's shocking. Yeah. It's just because they want it today. Yeah. And they're very disappointed it's not there.
Right. Yeah, no, I think I think, but there was some, at least, I think pastors were like, it's just nice that these things are here and here's what you can do. Now I think, like, I mean, like you said, I can go on any podcast on YouTube for video or just Apple for regular audio, and I can type in parenting. Godly parenting, and there will be 750 godly parenting podcasts.
And then this is how people are talking about politics. Then you end up choosing based on branding and vibes.
Yes.
Meaning you go,
which vibes is a whole new, like it's entered our vernacular in some interesting ways.
It has. And what that means is just like, I like the aesthetic. I like the way they talk. I like the way they look. Like, it, you know, all these things. And then you go, well, I'm going to follow them now. And how do I lead people in that? Very poorly. I need to work on that. I think we need to name it. This is what we're doing. We're choosing things. You know, it'd be like parenting. My child, I think my 18-year-old right now this is happening. And I think I would say this to her. I would say, the online voice doesn't know you. I know you. I've walked with you for years. I know the online voice might say what you want to hear, but if you really want to grow, you should listen to the people that know you. Right. You know, I'm not the only one. Right. But it's a very small group of people who know you very well, who've been watching you, walking with you.
Right.
So to name, it seems like you're getting your advice this way from voices that do not know you, that are just saying things the way that you want them to be heard. You must doubt to some degree yourself and your self-appraisal, that you might skew toward things you want to hear, and trust those who love you and know you. And I think that's a hard sell.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's the conversation we probably need to be having more in general.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I think the other part of all this that I'm trying to wrestle with is, let's just take a real non-controversial, well, it may be controversial, but as much as non-controversial idea as possible. We all want to learn how to memorize Scripture, right? And it's just like we're this little church or whatever. Mission church is like, we like to be better Scripture memory.
We all want to know we want to have this stuff in our memory bank. Yeah.
But there's no internet.
Right.
And there's very little communication with the outside world.
Yeah.
What do? Well, you all get together and you figure it out.
Yeah.
And it becomes
anybody have a method? Oh, I've done this before and it worked really well. Yeah.
And then you talk about it. It becomes very meaningful because it's the way Mission Church memorizes Scripture.
Yeah. Now, the downside to
there is a downside to
is
it.
You've got the photographic memory pastor
Yeah.
who says,
I don't know.
He says, you read it, and then you know it, and you read it again. And then you've got your guy with the learning disability. He goes, it's not working for me. And the pastor goes, that's because you're not trying as hard as I am, which is just... Now, and the internet opens up that you find, someone with the same learning disability is having the same problem and is able to say, you know what, here's the way that's the gift.
Yes, that is the gift of the internet. I will say that part of like what you just offered is what's so annoying about us is that we bought into, even in our processes, that there's a right way and a wrong way and a laziness. Like we don't have like this love of curiosity for each other and exploration and like, let's learn together.
Which would be ideal, which would be the pastor going, wait, so when you read it, for me, it's
right there.
It's right there. That's not happening for you? No. Oh, do you have has anybody ever explained that to you? Like that changes the dynamic entirely.
Yeah.
But that's so often not how it is.
No.
Which is, I think, why we run to the vibes. And
the vibes.
Is like, because it's like that. Again, I don't want to just be a total critic of that stuff because there's something to it. Like these voices feel more like ones I can understand, and there is something nice about that. Yeah.
I just think that so I sit down with you and I'm like, hey, can you help me? My 3-year-old is being I don't know how to parent my 3-year-old. This is just crazy. I don't know what to do. And then you start saying, well, hey, here's some ways that I think, I've done it. I've seen it work here. I've done this, here's a little bit of my expertise on this. And then I say, yeah, but the neuroscience says that that's actually not a good idea.
Right.
And I'm like, well, why do you want to know?
Here's the expert advice from online.
I was listening to so-and-so. And I'm not parenting this thing that just keeps coming up. It happens for every single issue.
Yeah. And well, I have a feeling the pendulum is swinging on this to some degree, but we've tended to say because all this information is accessible to us, we can find the factual scientific right answer, right? And whether that's going to the right therapist or the right neuroscience or whatever. And I think people are starting to see it isn't that simple.
Right. Going to the right person.
Yeah. Because you go to the doctor for your cancer, and what does everybody tell you? Get a second opinion.
Yeah.
This is a MD with cancer specialty, and my wife who works on a cancer floor will say, get a second opinion, because there are different ways of doing this. And one of those ways that we have discounted is the person who knows you's actual experience with another human being. Yeah. Which is really valuable.
Yeah. No, it's
and the situational. No, I'm reading a book right now on architecture that developed with no formal architect. So it's every 3 pages are these buildings in parts of the world where no architect ever designed it.
Very cool.
It's just grew up out of, and they're all unique to their setting.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
And it is really cool because for their settings, they're often just perfect.
Right.
They work so well. And everything from these tall wind-catching towers in Iran to these like little huts that are actually like angled toward the wind in these other parts of the...
That's really cool.
And I think that illustrates something, that the architecture is good.
Yeah.
But those people are architects to their specific place.
Yeah.
And that tradition within their place of doing this works better than the template from somewhere else.
Yeah, and I think that's beautiful.
Yeah.
And you get to see the beauty and creativity of God in that too.
Yeah.
Just the way he's designed us to like adapt
and problem solve.
And problem solve. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that the thing I'm wrestling with in all of this, and maybe we'll just go back and land the plane at the very beginning and end the podcast, but it used to be like, even with the Bible, like if you come, even now, like this is a reaction I will have. If somebody says, oh man, I really love the ESV, like, and a lot of people do, right? It's become a Bible that a lot of people have and esteem.
Yeah.
My first reaction, because there's so much information about, this particular Bible, is like, well, okay, well, if you read Romans 12 where they mistranslate this and how they have this intention here, what did I just undermined the entire Bible translation of a beautiful translation, which I'm using right now to read through the whole Bible.
Yeah. It's overall very well done, even if it's got some imperfections.
Yeah, and some choices they made that I thought were maybe not right.
Yeah.
But like my instinct is, oh, your experience is something's good, and I know some information that says it's not good, so I want you to know that that's not good.
Yeah.
Because, I don't know. I need you to not feel as good about it as you do.
And I need you to know I know more than you.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah,
like that.
That's at play as an elder than trying to pastor everybody.
Yeah.
It's like I feel that inside of me, but I also experience it as just the nature of the people that I am pastoring.
And I wonder if, this is a leadership thing right now, because information is so out there and leadership is so contested, that people in leadership are feeling extremely insecure.
Yeah.
And therefore reacting and defending themselves more.
Yeah.
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 Probably.
So we just land it there.
There we go. Okay. Hey, thanks for tuning in.
Doing my topic today.
You're welcome. No, it was good. Hey, if you have a question, faithoverbreakfast@gmail.com. You can ask through your podcast apps. You can ask Eric in person. You can email Andy. And there's all kinds of wonderful options for you. We love questions. This is really Eric's question today.
Right.
They give us something to chew on. We're going to have a couple weeks off as Eric travels for his 30th anniversary.
Yeah.
Congratulations to Eric and Sue. And we see you after that.
The cool thing is, I put up one of the we're doing a bunch of replay. Faith Over Breakfast, and one of them is an interview with Caleb Somitz interviewing you about your book, your very first book. So if you have not read Andy's very first book, here's your opportunity to hear about it and then go buy it.
Wow.
And
That's
read
awesome.
it. So, yeah.
Very cool. All right. Till next time.
You've been listening to Faith Over Breakfast with Pastor Eric Siepen and Pastor Andy Littleton. Please share us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Thank you.